got a bit of time today, so I'm actually going to do another little stream today to talk about what has recently arrived here on my hard drive, on my desk, on my shelf. So let's have a look. The first thing that has dropped this week for me, as I move my coffee over, is the dice and the artwork and the really lovely looking special edition, collector's edition here. Oop, there goes the coffee. Of, what's it called? The Electric State. Now I made a mess and I need to clean this up. Hang on. Great start, great start. Give me a second. So, live and uncut. You can see me spill my coffee. Isn't that great? So, Electric State is a role-playing game based again on the art by Simon Stahlenhag. I hope I get that right. Küchenpaper advert. Yes, kitchen paper advert. Good to see you again, Mohammed. Right, so Electric State. And I'm going to move my coffee to the other side. To the far side. There you go. So, lovely looking book, isn't it? It's linen cover. It's a bit, that's why I put this one here. It's very similar in a way. It feels very similar to the, do you know what this one is, Mohammed, before I say it? Crafter, because Crafter is not the name of the role-playing game. So do you know what this one is? Huh? No? Okay, I'll tell you. This one here is Things from the Flood. So this is the collector's edition from another Simon Stahlenhag game. And when I got this one, I just thought, oh, this is such nice quality paper. It's this thick, creamy paper that we know from the One Ring, for example. And yeah, I couldn't resist when I saw this one. So I read it Kafka. It's not Kafka. It is wrong way around for you. Things from the Flood, the role-playing game. Now, comparing this, putting them side by side, you can see it's slightly thinner, the Electric State, but they go really well together, don't they? They will look good together. Now, Electric State is a storytelling game, mainly. Basically, it's in a future. You can see, again, it's a sort of wrecked future. Yeah, you can see that by this giant cat here. Very strange. The idea is basically that there's a virtual environment, there's a virtual world that people get sucked into and they forget their normal life about it. Society falls apart, yet you are on a road trip. You're on a road trip through Pacifica, as they call it, which is this map here. Sorry, wrong book. I was just saying, the loop, that's the wrong book. It's this map here, Pacifica. We have Los Angeles to San Francisco, with a little bit in between. That seems to be the primary location. You will get a nice fold-out map with it right at the back here. The paper is much smoother, so it's not the same as the one from the Things from the Flood. But layout is very clear. The artwork is brilliant. I can show you that a little bit more on the PDF as well. But it just looks and feels really nice. Yeah, the artwork on here. This really reminds me of Things from the Flood. Or Tales from the Loop. So it's all in the same vein. But I think because you're basically on a road trip, you're a traveler. Yeah, this is not meant to be a long campaign. You're on a journey with certain stops. Those stops are different episodes to encounters on the road. And I haven't played it, but I'm looking forward to trying it out at some point. Yeah, I love the artwork again. And basically just bought it for the artwork. Not necessarily expecting a big game to come out of it. This is supposed to come, I'm pretty sure, on Alchemy. So when that comes out, I'll have a look and play with it. And if people are interested, I will let you know. One of the year zero you haven't played is Tales from the Loop. Yeah, Tales from the Loop. Funny you should mention that. Tales from the Loop. Another gorgeous game. I loved playing this when I first played this one. It was at my local club here, and we had such great fun with this. Yeah, and if you look at the artwork, it's very similar here. Yeah, so what I always loved on here, for example, is these little bits from the past that works better than for the future. Tabletop RPGs, Advanced D&D 1977, Rollmaster 1980. I played those two Top Secret 1980, 1981 Call of Cthulhu. I played that 5-6 years later. Champions, Gangbuster, Star Frontiers, Chill, Pendragon, and Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk, I bought a lot of this stuff. Came out 1988 when I started having a little bit of money. So that's the first weighty bit, which I love the looks of. As I said, I can flick through the PDF in a while if you're interested. And of course, I got the art print for it. I've got so many of these. I probably need to have my gaming den at some point and put up all these lovely pictures and all the lovely cloth maps. So the next one, special mention. I like playing it. I had some stuff on my channel about it. Dreams and Machines. It's Horizon Forbidden West. We didn't get the license. That's how I describe it often. It's a hope punk system. That's what they call themselves, a game. I've got the rule books up there. I've got the starter set up there. The starter set is good value for money. And I've got the GM tools, which include some hex crawls. But this one here, shall we have a look at who wrote it? It's a bit small maybe to see it, but right here it says, writing Dave Seamark. So Dave Seamark from the Effect Publishing podcast basically has written a lot of the content on this. And we were talking about this game at the UK Games Expo. Yeah, about this setting book. It's a setting book. It's not a game. Setting guide, it says. So Emerta Valo. And basically he said it had something to do with the silence and the dark. So the Valley of Silence, you could call it here. And the idea here is to have an adventure site, which is not just countryside, but it's a big city. So mega dungeon as a city, maybe. He explains the locations. There's a story weaving through it. There are maps, as you can see. There are lots of adventures to be had. A big story that weaves through it, and lots of other things that are going on, combined with some nice artwork. Can be a bit dark on here, but I do like the style of this game, and I really enjoyed playing that again at my local club. The starter set. I still have plans at some point to stream this as well. So you've got this big city, you've got the environment around it. As it says, so many streets. And then you've got various things that are going on, that are happening. You've got new talents in it. You have a few new talents for your different classes here. The game is not very old yet, but yet they're already throwing new talents in it, which I like. Quite a few of them as well. New equipment, glue bombs, sounds very interesting. Singularity projector, it looks like a portal gun to me. If you know Portal. The cake and all that, yeah. So, nice little setting guide, extra stuff for a, do you call it a dungeon delve if it's through a city? It's a ruined city, but essentially it feels like a dungeon delve. Yeah, vehicles, family barge here, this looks nice. That could be from Alien, the Colony. Recreational vehicles, road bikes, skimbo. So a few ideas. And what I like is this extra chapter about urban exploration. So as I said, the exploration has been featured in the Game Master's kit, but now it's more about the urban bit, encounters, how to manage that in the city and so on. The city needs to be quite large to make that happen, of course. And look at that color, isn't that nice? So, next one. This arrived just the other day. Now you can see that I've got a ring light above from a document camera. So, it's the Path of Glory. I keep calling it Path to Glory, so call me out if I do that. It's a campaign for Dragonbane. Dragonbane is one of the games I play a lot on my channel now with the Icewind Bane crossover. So basically we're playing Icewind Dale, but with Dragonbane rules. And it works really well. And I think that Dragonbane for me is a bit of a discovery. It's such a nice system. It's got all the vibes of the old games that I used to play, but it makes the rules nice and simple, for me at least simple enough, so I can understand them. And the stories that we tell are really cool. Yeah, it's really good fun. Now, one of the things that the original Dragonbane box doesn't really have is a big campaign setting. It's got the Misty Vale. It's got, I can't remember, 11 or so stories set in it. So it's plenty to go around, and you cannot beat that box for value for money. But this here is a campaign that was written, I think, 1985. So for the former versions of Dragonbane, it's been brought up to date, a bit of additional writing. The rules have been adjusted, the artwork has been redone, but the story seems to be very classic D&D, I was always going to say. Very classic Dragonbane. Roger, I think they say Roger in Scandinavia rather than Roger, Undhagen, as one of the big authors. He lives in the States now, so probably it's called Roger now. And then basically, you have a 3-part campaign. The Dead Forest, the Gates of Power, and the Heart of Darkness. They are different in style. First one, very, very normal, I think. The second one, if I remember correctly, is a mega dungeon, so the Dwarven City. And then the third one is the big showdown with journeys across the wilderness. Now, I haven't read it in detail yet, so I might be talking complete rubbish here. But that's how I read it so far from flying through it. So artwork, the papers, again, it's really, really lovely. The artwork is great, yeah, and it's very much in keeping with Dragonbane itself. It being a hardcover book, of course, you just feel like this is nice quality. I've got both the hardcover and the box version of Dragonbane, and this one just slots right in next to the other hardcovers that I've got. Yeah, it does come with some large dungeons. Now, I can't remember whether there was a Foundry implementation on the cards for this one. I think there is, but I'm not 100% certain. Looking at the Discord, I think it's being worked on, but it's not out yet, but I honestly don't know. I hope there is, because the Dragonbane system for Foundry is really, really good. And with so many maps and crawling here and going through dungeons, I would love to see that on Foundry rather than just on Alchemy. Don't get me wrong, Alchemy is cool, but things like dungeon maps and doesn't work so well for me. So you get a lovely thick paper, again, not glossy but matte paper fold-out map for the Dead Forest, one of the settings, and the Eastern Lands, which I think is for Chapter 3. So, good quality. Now, I think I'm going to switch you from my desktop. Now, I don't know anything about a Foundry module yet on this one here. Yeah, Mohammed, I'm waiting for it. Because I might actually, I would like to run this. This or Windheim. But I'm running the Icewind Bane. That's going to take a while. So I might do this in German. We'll see. Because in German, we actually I can just show you that on my screen now. We just got the first release of Dragonbane in German. This might not be the most important thing for people on this channel. If you want to know more about that, look at my German channel. So the German. Look, this is what Dragonbane rules look like in German. I think there's a version 0.9 out by now, but I haven't downloaded it yet. So, looks very similar. You get a few extra names in here. But basically, we finally have the rules in German as well. Now, I don't mind. I speak English enough. I actually often prefer reading the rules in English, I have to say, rather than in German. But I'm hoping that the translators have done a good job here. I really am hoping. The German crowdfunding campaign was in 2 parts. Basically, it's the box and the books. But also there's a campaign setting, which is the Dark Eye setting called the Green Plains, I guess, the Grassy Plains, you could call it. And they are relaunching that, they're rewriting that, so with Dragonbane rules as well, or relatively rules neutral, let's put it that way. So that you can play it either with the old Schwarzes Auge, the Dark Eye, or you can play with Dragonbane. I find that a very interesting crossover. So, yeah, VTT might come out when it's officially released. I think the official release is soon, November, before Christmas anyway. So, Dragonbane, just to show you, basically, you would recognize it. Layout is very similar, the style is unchanged, it's just the text and any errata have been put into it. So that's the one thing that I like about the new version. I will have a printed version with all the errata in it. So, yes, good. Now, what's new? What else is new? Before I go much further, Electric State, just to get a better look here, this is the Electric State one with a map in it. And yeah, you've seen it in the paper, but this one might be clearer for you to see at home. Of course, I should really do 2 sides side by side for these big artworks. But yeah, should be good. What I like about this is the clarity. It's so easy to read this. Yeah, so easy to read this. It's set in the 1990s. So you could argue it's a sequel to Things from the Flood. So, something I've also recently played, I played it in German, but it's an English resource. It's this new adventure here for Rivers of London, The Font of All Evil. It was a strange one in a way. We played it in roughly 5 sessions, 5 hours, so 2 sessions of 2.5 hours, almost precisely. Mohammed, tell me which Vaesen adventure you're talking about. Then I can answer that. I'm not quite sure which one the new one is. But playing this one here, the first half was very, very heavily investigating a murder scene. And what came out of it is called Murder and Mayhem Beside the Thames. The second half, don't show me that artwork. This one is slightly better. The second half was much more fun in a way. Yeah, especially the showdown in that building there at the back of that picture. The Tate Modern Gallery. That was really good fun. The fighting in this system can be quite harsh. So that was basically, they were trying to fight something. I won't spoil it too far. And this something landed one hit. It only had a 30% chance, but it landed one hit on one of the investigators and basically was a mortal wound right away, 4 damage. And they were down and they were very worried about dying. And that was very, very intense. But then it's an investigation game. And if something like that hits you, then maybe that's right. We had a little bit of few spells flying about, so that was nice. That was good fun. We had 2 practitioners and 1 non-practitioner. But I think we all had fun at least with it, and that's good. Did this really have the feel for it? Yes, I think so. For once, it wasn't a Genius Locorum or Genius Locus that was in the game, but it was another opponent, and I think that was quite good. Scent of a Killer. Yes, I did back this. I think I haven't had the link for it, because it did say on the email this week, Scent of a Killer was supposed to be in my thingy, in my inbox, but it has not arrived. Yeah, I had it back, Britain and Ireland, but it has not appeared, as far as I know. So, yeah, this game, it's this booklet here is 46 pages. It's very wordy. So if you're trying to run this, you will need to make your own notes, highlights and sticky notes, because so often it will say, if the characters want to do this, and this is where it goes next. If they want to do this, let me show you one example from the beginning here. Next steps. Yeah, you always get these, like, yeah, if they want to do this, then go there. If you wanted to go this, do that. And it feels a little bit like a, what is it called? Find Your Own Adventure. No, it's not quite right. But like one of those novels, flick to this page. And it's just very bitty. I think and everything in here is quite wordy. If asked about this, which is nice because you have the support. But at the same time, you then feel like you have to navigate for it and try and find it. And for me, that was a bit fiddly, but the story was okay in 2 halves, and you need to, of course, interject more scenes than I did of character interaction. But I just was very, very conscious we only had 2 shots for this, 2 sessions. So the next one in the same vein is this one here. Yeah, the drive-through link has not arrived, Mohammed, and I looked at my diary as well, at my library, but it's not there either. So I need to poke FreeLeague. So this one here, Magnus Archives. It's based on a podcast. It's similar to Old Gods of Appalachia, which is just there. And but it's different because it's not set like that. It's modern day. It's a organization set in London in the original podcast, and they're getting reports of all the supernatural stuff that's going on. They write it down, and to some extent they then follow it up and they investigate it. And this idea here is that you investigate it. So you are basically the branch who don't just take reports, but you need to follow up what's going on with it. And there's a bigger story than appearing than when you see all these reports coming together. Now, I love the style of this. I think it's really nicely presented, again, just like Old Gods of Appalachia. A lot of this stuff is meant for the players as well. So there's a player book and there's a overall book, but the player book is roughly half of this. You get some adventures with it, 2 adventures, which I would like to run at some point. But one of the key differences, I guess, is this concept of, where have we got it? Of the statement. So every case, if you want to call it that, starts with a statement. Yeah, got some nice artwork in here. And these statements are basically the scenarios. And character, this is all pretty much straight cipher. There's cipher system. There are a few extra things here and there, a few things that are slightly different. But most of it is basically cipher, from what I've read yesterday. I read about 2 hours of this yesterday. But yeah, statement. I want to find the right bit for statement. Let me just find it. Because otherwise I'm going to... Here, look, chapter 9. I would have flicked for a while. So, the statement idea is basically that the case is designed by the players. So, you ask one player to come up with a scenario, with a hook, with something. That's the beginning of a story. And then the other players chip in, and the GM chips in a little bit. And it's basically giving you a flow chart for that. Yeah, statement begins, the setup, fleshing things out, statement, author reacts, the twist, and then statement, how you get away from it. And at the end, you then have a hook without all of the explanations. So here's the summary. Is that big enough? I might zoom in a bit. So it starts with statement begins, we get the name, basic suggestion, what's going on, so the statement is basically somebody reporting something creepy, supernatural, yeah? And this is the first step of it. Fleshing things out, basically a 3rd player, 4th player possibly, then starts checking extra details and develops the idea. The GM can interject, make a few tweaks. Statement author reacts. We get a twist. What's the awful idea behind the revelation, if you like? This comes from a 4th player or the 2nd or 3rd player. And then the statement author gets out, so somebody must have escaped, otherwise you wouldn't have a statement. Final GM notes, and then the denouement. What happens now? So on the post statement, essentially, the denouement is the actual case, the actual adventure. So you will probably need a little bit of a break between statement author gets out, so the developing of the scenario, and then running the scenario, because certainly I would want to prepare a few things. And then at the end of it, there is a summary. Yeah, so when the case is over, you do a summary, a little epilogue, if you like, to just explain it. So the denouement, the whole group works together to describe what happens between the horror of the twist and how the character got to the Magnus Institute to give their statement. And, I might have slightly bungled this, but basically from that we then get to the adventure. Yeah? And that is a very different idea, because the players are basically the origin of the story. The players between them, not just one of them. And the GM then takes that and makes a case from it and tries to weave together the story. I find that interesting. I would like to try that out, how that actually works. Yeah. When I ran Old Gods, I really actually appreciated the lightness of the rule system. Yeah, you can do a lot with it. There is some depth to it. There's some cool stuff in it, but it's very easy, if you like, once you know the key elements, to just juggle it and say, okay, this is how we're going to play this is how we're going to do this. This is not a system where you have to dig through the rules and say, oh, how long does a torch last or something. The next bit, basically the entities, will explain a few things about the world, which is useful for me because I only listened to, I don't know, maybe 30 of the episodes of the podcast, or the 200 and something. And there's definitely some spoilers here, but it's all essentially about fear, sources of fear, and how they manifest. Let's put it that way. And that I really like. So, what else can I show you? Oh yes, the next bit on my list is Windheim. Yeah, this is winging its way to me. No, this is still the PDF. But I've been lucky enough that Douglas has been running a couple of games for me, for us, for a group of us, not just for me. Lucky enough that he invited me. And basically, this is another campaign setting and campaign for Dragonbane. So this is now Windheim and this, and the original, up to 3. There's Dragonbane coming up, which I think is more an adventure than a campaign. There's another campaign being crowdfunded, so it's very well supported, Dragonbane, right now. And basically, this is a new setting. and it's lovingly developed. Yeah, you can see some of the artwork here, some of the maps. It's a different, call it a continent on an island in this world of Ashfara. Yeah, Ashfara is a sphere, and the humanity lives on the inside of the sphere, and you've got the demons on the outside trying to get in, and all that sort of stuff. It's quite interesting, but it's like almost a colonial place. So this is the sphere here. Yeah, so there's a lot of lore development. The author here, the Andreas Lundström, he has been working on this. That was his campaign that he ran. So years and years of development, if you like. But now it's nicely presented. Now I play a mule in our little playthrough, which is I'm playing a shaman, a Mohammed. What are you playing? You're playing not a duckling. What are you playing? A cat. Cat person. That's what you're playing. Oh, you got your Windheim, Lauren. Cool. I'm jealous. Mine is on its way, but I haven't received it yet. But I keep hearing really good comments about how lovely the materials are. So the paper and all that. Yeah. So you can see it's a long, what have we got? 136 page companion just for the setting and for the places. And then there is an adventure that runs through it. This is the first part of a longer campaign called Traces of Darkness. Yeah, the Horn of Dawn, part 1. And maps again. And we played, just zooming slightly ahead, so we've been playing a little bit here. We started basically with the journey through the pass. We didn't do everything at the beginning. We did the murder in Vale's End, and I think, without wanting to spoil myself too much, I'm not going to read too much of this. We are now en route. We are now traveling to Hardrain Keep. So looking forward to that. That should be good. Yes, it's another 104 pages in this PDF version. Probably about the same in the original book. Yeah, cat bards. Yeah, and make the cats sing. My cats can't sing. But yeah, lovingly developed, looks really good. It's been very interesting so far, and it feels different to Misty Vale Dragonbane. Definitely feels different. So there's 2 more things that have recently arrived, and then I'm pretty much done with this. So any questions from you, or what have you recently got? While I just have a sip of my coffee from my squirrel mug. Recognize it? So put something in. Come on, tell me something that you are working on. So the other 2 things I want to briefly talk about are the Expanse Transport Union Edition. I think that's just finishing their Kickstarter. Yeah, Basin PDF. I need to have a look at that. And Discworld. I want to mention these 2. Yeah. Also quick start. So 2 quick starts for one Kickstarter that's currently ending, this one, and one that is about to start, I think, next week. This is a modiphius Kickstarter for Discworld. Household RPG. Yeah, I heard good things about that. Household. And the Vaesen one, I honestly don't know why I haven't had that notification. I might open another tab and have a look whether it's really not there on my drive-through. But normally I get an email saying, new content for you. And then you click here and then you're supposed to redeem something, and it often doesn't work. Oh yeah, of course, there's another thing I haven't mentioned. Agrella, City of Eternal Euphoria for Symbaroum, I haven't mentioned. And I haven't mentioned The Serpent in the Hen House, which is the Shadow of the Weird Wizard new release, but I haven't read it. So I won't be talking too much about that one. No, there's absolutely nothing here on my drive-through, and pretty sure there's nothing on my email, which is annoying, because I like Vaesen. So, scent of something. Scent of the killer. So, what does it say? I have the email. The bonus mystery is out. Check your spam folder, your drive-through library before contacting support. FreeLeague. Yeah, that's what I will have to do. I have to get in touch with them. So I pin that to my to-do list. So, Expanse. The Expanse, great series of books, great series of films. Right, you got your email. Okay, you had the same issue or similar. I did check spam. I always check my spam. Because there's often something in it that is not spam. don't know, Outlook can be a little bit annoying that way. So junk email, just Mr. Tarascan there, nothing else. So, Expanse, great series. I love the TV series. I like the books a lot. The books, of course, go much further than the TV series, because one of the concepts is that you have this ring gate, and eventually this ring gate leads to lots of different worlds which are now ripe for colonization, and people are trying to find their feet out there. We don't just have the Martians and the Earthers and the Belters. We now have people basically setting out for new worlds and colonizing them. And that shift in the later books, that's basically why they're doing this, the Transport Union edition. The rules of this game, as far as I know, haven't changed. But basically the sort of adventures you're running, the sort of setup, the faction setup has changed. And because you're now much more focused on colonies, I think they will be adding a fair bit of world building and tools for colony building into it. Now, one of the things that always fascinated me was, in Coriolis, for example, and the little bit of Alien, the colony we played, is this sort of going to a place, establishing it, and then basically having a real stake in trying to make it work. While you develop it, you then have lots of adventure hooks coming out of that. Even in the 90s, I was rewriting a role-playing system where they basically, one of the player characters was the young baron in a small derelict barony in the borderlands, and they had to build it up. We never got past Adventure 5 or something, but the ideas were definitely there. So, what's different, or what's this about? As I said, it's the same age system that they had previously. That hasn't changed, but the focus has changed a bit. So this is a quick start. This is an adventure here. The whole thing is 38 pages long. Yeah, you've got exploration, much more exploration encounters and hazards, so that will definitely be a new thing. Or a different focus again. We have the typical stuns in here. I can't claim that I've ever played this. Yeah, but we've also got the builder complex. Now, the builders are a concept that you can find in much of the sci-fi that I like, including, of course, in a way in Coriolis, especially Rimward Reach, where you did that. The founders, yeah, you can do that there. But here, this scenario, let me just find it. Where is it? These are the pre-gens already. Did I zoom past the scenario? I must have. Yeah. Scenario is a short one. There's the epilogue. Just saw the scene 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 scenes. So I think it would lend itself to one shot. But the setup is, let's have a look. You passed through the Castilia ring gate a few days ago, and you float when the comm systems light up. After adjusting the receiver, you pick up a weak distress signal originating from a small moon orbiting one of the system's outer planets, a gas giant roughly the size of Jupiter. Signal is very weak. You suspect that if the planet and moon were not currently relatively near to your path to Callista, you would never have received this message. Targeting your scopes on the moon, you think you detect the wreckage of a small ship. You will have to get closer to be sure. And that's your setup. Crashed ship. Yeah. So, yeah, if you want to play that, let me know. I'd be definitely willing to try the system out. Doesn't look too complicated. A couple of things I would need to get my head around. But basically you roll 3d6 plus your skill plus any bonus against the difficulty level, and that's the key function. So much less mechanical, but not less interesting, is Discworld. Now, I'm a big fan of Discworld. I've read all the books, many of them more than once. And although the Discworld for me is more than just Ankh-Morpork, it is probably an interesting place to start in. Yeah, very colorful city. The idea of this role-playing game is not to be like GURPS. Yeah, some people always mention, but there is one, this GURPS one. The idea here is that you have very basic character sheets. Let me show you the character sheet. What's the system? Look here. What is the system? Half a page, another half page. Punes or plays on words, which are important, another half page. Lots of picture, and that's it. So you've got basically a page and a half for the outline, and then you've got the tests. And the way tests work in this system, You say what you want to do. You justify your action using traits. We'll have a look at that in a second. The GM determines the outcome die. So you basically say, okay, what are you rolling against? Roll the outcome. This is the die you get to roll. Roll the outcome die against the narrativium die, which I think is always a D8. You can get some help and then resolve the test, not optional. So, yeah, basically, depending on how well you position yourself and say, this is how I approach and this is how my traits make it easier for me to tackle this, you get different dice. Yeah, if it's very much within the PC's wheelhouse, it's a D12. So if the PC clearly has no idea what they're doing and their attempt at justification is flimsy, it's a D4. So it will advantage people who like to talk. Yeah, rather than the quiet player who just wants to sit at the table and witness the story. That, I think, is not really for you then. And then you roll the D8 and you compare them. If the outcome die has a rolled higher than this flexible difficulty, this random difficulty, then your test works. Now, here's a character sheet. Constable Cliff. And that's all you get. So you've got some luck, which you can use to tweak your rolls, yeah? And then you have the Watch. This is your organization, so you're part of the Watch. A troll raised by loving human parents. You are the face of the group, which is interesting choice as a troll, public relations. People aren't things is one of your core beliefs. A winning smile, chiseled features are your quirks, and you're simple but not stupid. So essentially, these are the things that you can employ to argue, yeah, what is it that you bring to this test? What is it that makes it easier for you to do this test? So, the Expanse, yes, I have backed it. Sorry, I just saw that now. But that's the quick start you get for free anyway. So, as a troll, Constable Cliff has heard all the jokes and so on. He doesn't mind the jokes. He approaches every person with diamond-toothed smile and determination to meet everyone halfway. So, it's very accommodating. His efforts have made him the face of the Watch to many of the residents who have heard of him, which is some of them. So he's not famous as such. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, so this is what you've got. The rest is words you spin. And I think that can be very fun and very funny. But it also will probably not lend itself to long campaigns. They say themselves they are for short runs or for one-shots. That's the idea, and then you have different characters for the next time. Of course, you could have a longer one. Yeah, the Watch stories, they hang together quite nicely. And then you get an adventure called Up in Smoke. If you're reading this and you're not the GM, stop now. Also, I'll just zoom right to the pre-generated characters. You get a zombie. Yeah. Who lived and died on the street and is still running around. He doesn't mind smoking anymore. He's dead already. You get an Igorina. Yeah, so that's, of course, is a big invitation to anybody to put up their ham German accent or Russian. Constable Cliff, we looked at. You get Surly Underhand. A pretty standard dwarf, but he's got a big camera. Do everything with a smile. He's the crime scene iconographer. So he'll have some little imp in there, sketching things. And we've got this, I really like this one. Constable Misbegotten and Ampersands. So a gargoyle. Yeah? Designated noticer. Looks the spitting image of the pixie face smut. Okay, there you go. So I have a round of game of this lined up. Next week I am playing this with a German table. So I'm not running it, playing it. And I also have something else coming up, which is, oh yes, something entirely different. Fräulein Bernburg's Pensionat für junge Damen, where you play girls at a girls' boarding school, which should be fun as well. So that's what has been arriving here over the last couple of weeks, I reckon. What would you want to try? What would you want to see? What would you want to take part in it? What interests you? And other than the Wesen, which I need to chase, is there anything that I've missed that is really important in our bubble? You tell me. And then I am... Oh gosh, I've been talking for more than half an hour already. Thanks for keeping me company, guys. Now, come on. Let's hear a couple of comments before I sign off for today. Oh, I wanted to tell you I was new on the channel. That's something I can tell you. While you do that. So, where I've got PDF Express is there. Switch that off for a moment. Get the browser on. And make that a bit smaller. Or bigger, actually. Expanse looks good. You don't, I think the rules are the same. Now, do you need the original book? I'm not sure. I've got it here. So that's not a big deal for me. And I know they set it in the bundle with the other books, but I think the Transport Union edition is actually separate. I would have to look up the Kickstarter. So what I wanted to briefly show you on here is the sort of stuff we've been getting up to recently on the channel. Now, there's some stuff on here that, yeah, you might know. Some of the stuff you might not know. So we've been continuing with the Icewind Bane, foaming mugs, and the hunt for the Yeti. That was a really fun session as well. Yes, this one here, Tales of the Old West. We had a game here in English, which was run by one of the authors. I also ran it the following day in German, which was really good fun. Different adventure. We played the Quick Start. So Icewind Bane, I've recently looked at Mutant Year Zero Zone Wars, the board game, a couple of times. And this is unlisted. This is our Vale's End playtest, but that's basically just for us. I talked about alchemy a little bit, but also, I think you guys also see this on a different tab when you go to my YouTube channel. On the live section, I've done crafting a crime board today, tried that a couple of times. The first one was rubbish, so I can delete that, I think. Delete forever. Yes. Then I redid it. Took 30 seconds longer. Foaming Max, this one here, Icewind Bane, you can see I'm very much on Icewind Bane trip right now. Yeah, so Star Trek Adventures, we talked about that a little while ago, and then a little further ago already. So mainly, this, yeah, my content right now is Icewind Bane and a little bit of Foundry. Most of the other stuff is on my German channel right now. But if you speak German or you are happy with subtitles, then hop over there and have a look at there. Because there, we also ran Blade Runner and Rivers of London I've just run. And what else did I run recently? Oh yeah, of course. Tales of the Old West. Good game. So, anything else worth mentioning? Or question? You can ask me anything for a few minutes. If you like. Or you can watch me trying to find out why I haven't got this from FreeLeague. Oh, Dungeon Alchemist. Yeah, okay. Actually, that's an interesting point, just for a moment. If you look at, don't know whether you really do this analytics-wise, yeah, you can see quite easily, yeah, estimated revenue, £6.80. I'm not going to get rich with this. But if you look at the content over here, the most popular top content, this is in the last 48 hours, are the two things about map making. One is the Canvas of Kings video that I made. And the other one is a quite old video I made about Dungeon Alchemist. And if we just pop into this one here for a moment, 30,000 views. This is by far the most watched videos. Brought me 80 subscribers, this one. Interestingly enough, I made a number of follow-ups on this. On Dungeon Alchemist, like the different releases, the different ways of getting video in rather than just the map, the different content packs, they go nowhere near this sort of level of interest. Yeah, but this one here has been running and running and running. You can see since it started 930 days ago, 2 years and 194 days ago is when I made it, and it's still going strong. Yeah, so this video with 30,000 views, just as a little insight in monetization, brings me a grand total of £5.71 of 30,000 views. Yeah, so you never know what you're going to get. So content, if I go to the content tab here, it might be interesting as well. And zoom out a bit. Yeah, views, all-time views. The most... where is it gone? Because it was live, you always have to look at two different tabs, which is really annoying. I don't know why they split it here. 30,149 views. By far the most popular one. Alchemy, first look, 7,000, and then 4,500 for the absolute basics of Alien. Another few tricks, Dungeon Alchemist. That's not actually a great video. The tricks are outdated by now. And then here another Dungeon Alchemist. They are the most viewed, popular videos. And then we get to these canned videos. Pincushion, Alchemy, Tailspire, and again, Alchemy, Dungeon Alchemist. Yeah. So I should really be making many more of those videos, map making videos. Have you tried Canvas of Kings? Have you looked at that? It'll be in here somewhere. Or did I make it a video? Canvas of Kings. How many has that had now? Look, 2,300 reviews. That's not bad, is it? Not bad at all for 73 days, 72 days. Not bad at all. Yeah, it's a neat little tool. It gives you line art style maps, as you can see in the thumbnail. It's a nice little tool. £1.85 from 2,300 reviews. Guys, if you want to support any YouTuber, one of the best ways is to see whether they've got a Patreon or a Ko-fi or something and chip them some money that way. Yeah, they're not going to get rich. Anyway, I think I've rambled enough for now. Good that you found it informative. Thanks for keeping me company, guys. And I hope to see you again soon, maybe around the virtual table. You never know. And I might have to chase the scent of a killer right now. So,